Thanks. What's up, Irish fans? Anthony Romo here with a Week 13 edition of our Coaches Corners here at the Golden Dawn here in Youngstown. We'd like to thank the Golden Dawn for everything they do for us here at YSN, helping promote Ursuline Irish football, and hopefully we'll get everything settled, get the game played here Friday night. Joined by head coach Dan Reardon. Coach, this has been a really fun thing that we've done here at the Golden Dawn.
Yep.
Glad we can have another week here. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So I'm going to get the elephant out of the room right here. I didn't know this until after the game Friday. You are a graduate of Canfield.
Yep.
Is this your first time coaching against them?
Yep.
So for you, I'm sure you've had a lot of friends and family that have been telling you about this game just because that's a place that you're from. That has to be a little bit of a cool feeling off the field.
Yeah, it is. I have a lot of friends over there, obviously, and my best friend teaches over there, and another real good friend has a son on the team, and a lot of familiarity with the community, obviously, and a lot of familiar faces.
So before we touch into this week's matchup, we'll start with recapping last week's. A little bit nerve-wracking start for a lot of people, but you guys answered the bell in a very big way. Against Talmadge, you guys went down 14-0 early on in that ball game. Just a lot of missed opportunities on offense, turnover on downs, missed field goal, turnover on downs. The first 4 possessions, you guys came out scoreless, which I don't know if that's happened this season. I think you guys have come out strong a lot in games, but give Talmadge credit. They came up with the stops they needed to, and they executed on offense. Do you think there's a singular turning point in the game Friday night where you guys kind of turned the page?
Yeah, well, the first thing, there was not a sense of panic or anything. We were moving the football. We missed a field goal. That was one opportunity. Another one, I think we had a 4th and 6, 5 or 6, and didn't convert deep in their territory. Would have been a longer field goal for a high school game, but that, and then we went all the way down, had 4th and goal on about the 1.5 yard line. Thought we got in. They marked it a little bit short, but then the very next play we get a safety. So that was a huge play, followed up by a big kick return after that. And, we had confidence, but, we needed to get some points out of it. And then I thought our defense did a really good job. Once we kind of got a feel for their game plan, and they have a really, really good offense, great quarterback, great group of receivers, good up front. They came down and appeared to have a script and did a really good job with that. And, we missed a tackle, which led to a first down. So there were a couple things. And, it's just a matter of playing how we're capable of playing and making adjustments, and we did those things.
And we've talked about all year long about this senior class and the experience that they have helped give this team with the playoff runs that you guys have had the last 2 years, 2020 going to the regional final, last year going to the state title game. And I think, like you said, the safety and the punt return, those are 2 seniors that made those plays. Michael Branch had the tackle in the end zone, then Will Burney had the punt return for a touchdown. How big are those 2 guys? How big are their roles on this team?
Yeah, but both play a ton of football for us. Mike plays not practically. He plays every snap of defense, and he plays a good chunk on offense, probably about a third of the game on offense, generally speaking. Really, really good football player. I mean, Mike has had a great career for us going back to his freshman year, really has played a lot of – he played a ton of snaps his freshman year, particularly the second half of the season. And it kind of came full circle. Our first win that year, we played Cheney, and we punted the ball down inside the 1 yard line. And the turning point of that game against Cheney, his freshman year, Michael's playing nose guard, caused a fumble in the end zone. We recovered it and went on to win that game. So, it was a little bit of deja vu with the safety the other night that he caused. But, Mike's been a great player for us and always has a smile on his face. Really good football player. And, he's going to go on and play at the next level, and someone's going to get a great player. Will, same thing, has played a bunch of reps going back to his freshman year, just a utility guy. Will is a very smart football player, can play pretty much every skill position on our team on both sides of the ball, and just has a really good football IQ. And you add to that, he has good ability to make guys miss in the open field, and he's a good tackler. And Will had probably as good of a game in all three phases combined as we've had in a long time. I mean, he made big plays. He had an interception on a 2-point conversion, bunch of tackles, punt return for a touchdown, big kick return, recovered an onside kick, scored on offense, and just that's what he is. Though I mean, he's a utility guy who can do a number of things.
And talk about recovering the onside kick. I want to talk about James McGlone real quick
Yeah.
because I think that he is one of the most fundamentally sound kickers with the way that he can angle his kicks, pooch him, onside kick, squib kick. That's got to take a lot of skill from it. Is it something you guys practice a lot in practice or situations like that?
Yeah, we do. And he's good at that. There's been a number of times, this year and last year where we've done a surprise pooch or surprise onside. We got one in the state championship game last year. We Brookfield earlier in the year, the one the other night, obviously, and he does a really good job with that, and places the ball well and has the ability to disguise it until the last second, and that creates problems for the return team, obviously.
And then I think one final thing that I want to talk about is the offense. 38 straight points after going down 14-0. Obviously gave you guys the cushion you needed to hold on for the victory last week against Talmadge. How happy were you with the response from your offense after going scoreless on their first couple drives? But like you said, they kept moving the ball and they eventually found their way into the end zone.
Yeah, and again, I think it goes back. We spoke about this last week. We had a bunch of guys contribute. It wasn't one guy. It was, DC on one play, Christian on another, Mark Manning, Will, Jack made some big throws, and when we're able to incorporate all of those guys, it makes us much more difficult to defend. And moving forward, we're trying to put pressure on opposing teams to defend it, the width of the field, the depth of the field, all the skill positions. And the past 2 weeks, we've done a pretty good job of that.
And then one final question before we get into this week's matchup. We always talk to the players when we do our player profiles. We talk about family, but we've never really asked you about that. And I see your son Patrick sitting over there. One of my favorite things on Friday nights is setting up real early. Then I sit there in the booth and I watch the kids before the game. They hustle and hit harder than the players do when the game goes on. And they don't have pads on.
Yeah, there is always an intense football game going on at about 5:15-ish, or whatever. They have about 45 minutes until we start warm-ups, and they take advantage of every second of it. Patrick, John Burney, Luke Kohler's little brother Jack, and there's a bunch of other guys too. But and we have a big core of ball boys that they come out of the woodwork, and it gets pretty intense over there.
And to add on to that, so the journey of a football season is obviously really long, and especially for you guys, you're so used to every year playing into November and into December, and that takes a lot of time away from family because you have pretty much a whole nother family at the high school when you're practicing after school and playing during games. How big of a factor is your own family in kind of helping motivate you to get through each week?
Yeah, so forever and ever since I knew my wife, football's been a huge part of who we are and what we do. I was a graduate assistant at Youngstown State. My wife was an intern in the athletic department at Youngstown State. That's when we met. Went to Indiana as a graduate assistant. She went out there, went to grad school. We were engaged, and it's been like that ever since. So I can't say how supportive. Very, very supportive. Picks up the slack during the season. 5 kids. My daughter Emma, she went to Iowa State, worked with the football team at Iowa State, graduated about a year ago, works in the athletic department at Iowa State, and it's because of football. She grew up around it and wanted to be around it. Matthew was playing football in Miami of Ohio. Patrick's the next one up. Then we have 2 younger daughters, Grace and Maggie, and, they're running around as well. And, always come to give me a hug at the end of the game. And, it's fun having them around with everything.
Yeah, and I remember when we did our first few interviews before we came to the Golden Dawn, and it was over the laptop. I think you were in your basement when we did them, or man cave? I just remember the background was all football helmets. So
had a bunch of helmets and footballs and everything.
You can't go in the Reardon house without trying to escape football because it's not going to happen.
No, it's hard.
Anyways, now going into this week's matchup against the Canfield Cardinals, Division III, Region 9 regional semifinal game will be played at Bo Ryan Stadium in Niles Friday night at 7 o'clock. We look at this Canfield roster. There's one player that really sticks out, and that's Brock Lowry, committed to play football at the University of Indiana, a school that you just talked
Yep.
about. It's funny in a way.
Listen, I can tell them about all the hangouts at IU, the best place to live, all those things. It's a great place to go to school. But yeah, Brock's a really good football player, and obviously, if you're going to a Big Ten school to continue your football career, you have a lot of ability. He's a kid; he has a fantastic arm, but as good as his arm is, he's as good of any running back we've played this year running the football.
Dual threat.
And, dual threat, and just a big athletic kid who runs well and he's strong and can make every throw, and has athletic ability to make guys miss or break tackles. So, defensively, he really stresses the defense.
And this Canfield team last week played a program in Aurora that is always tough. Come this time of the year, they're a usual playoff team. Yep. Canfield handed it to them on their home field. A very good defensive performance from the Cardinals in that one. I believe they had a pick six, a lot of big plays defensively. When you're studying this Canfield defense on tape, what are some of the things that kind of make them dangerous in certain ways?
Yeah, so I think they do a good job up front to, that sets the tone for everything. They play a 3-4 front, and they bring outside linebackers and, move guys around enough to tax you schematically that way. But then they play really, really hard, and they're very sound defensively. So they make you work for everything you get. Along with that, they don't make mistakes. That's a big thing. It's rare that you see someone out of position or, not in the gap they're supposed to be in, coverage wise, whatever. So, very well coached, very sound, and they make you earn everything.
Yeah, Coach Pavlansky over at Canfield, one of the most experienced coaches in the area, and he's coached at some big schools in his past before he came back and became the head coach at Canfield. And then, Coach, I think looking at your side of the scheme here, I feel like it's so much fun to call your guys' games because offensively, it seems like you guys are still running new plays and formations kind of every week. When we talk about the assets that this Urson offense has, for you as a coach, it's got to be a little bit of fun to kind of move the guys in different spots and see what they can do. It's kind of all like an experiment.
Yeah, so we honestly don't run very many new plays, but we have a lot of window dressing that goes along with it, and formations and things like that, or shifts or movements, motions, whatever. But we try to keep a lot of our teaching as, hey, this is the same as A, B, or C. It's different for one guy, or backfield action might be different. So we try to keep it as simple as we can for the guys up front. Allows them to play fast, and then in the back end we try to get creative with formations and personnel groupings and shifts and so on.
And then, Coach, one final thing before we let you go here today. What are some keys to victory for the Urson Irish this week?
So we always want to run the ball first, and we've done a good job with that, and again, it's been a number of guys. Christian's been our workhorse, but DC, Will, Mark, they're all getting carries. Jack Erickson gets carries. So we try to spread that around. But so it starts up front. They want to run the ball as well. I mean, to me, as good of a quarterback as Brock Lowry is, they want to run the ball first. They want to set the tone. And so with that in mind, to me, it's really on the defenses this week. There's two offenses that have the ability to score. They both want to run the ball, and whichever defense defends the run best is going to have a great chance to win the game. Taking care of the football, obviously, we may have some weather. You got to protect the football in big games.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck Friday night.
Appreciate it. Thanks.